right, Dan, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to join me here today and talk about Parker and this important role and just what a wonderful school. It's been wonderful working with you and other members of the leadership team in the past. We're honored to serve you this time. Before we get into the school and the role, talk a bit about your background and what drew you to the school.
Sure. Thanks, Gabe. So I'm finishing my 19th year at Parker. Parker has been a great professional home for me. Born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we moved here about 20 years ago. And for anyone who's looking for a improvement in their quality of life, San Diego is pretty great. Um, but the long and the short of it is, I had a wonderful job in San Francisco, and I never expected to find a place where I like to describe it where lightning struck twice, and that's Parker. Lightning really did strike twice. I started out as a classroom teacher, and I've held every role from classroom teacher through assistant head of school now. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Parker has allowed me to grow, to stretch. It's challenged me. And I've always been able to pursue the work that I thought was important. Uh, if I could put together a good rationale and do some homework and talk to my head of school, and my head of school has been incredibly supportive, and especially in this area. We've seen educational technology, information systems, instructional technology just develop by leaps and bounds. I would say most people now recognize that COVID probably advanced the need and the importance of educational technology in our schools. It's probably about a decade fast forward. And I'm glad to say that Parker was poised for that moment. We had been doing steady work, and we're continuing to do steady work, really making sure that our approach to instructional technology and our approach to information systems is really in fulfillment of learning goals and in fulfillment of the mission of the school. And it's been amazing to be a part of all of that.
That's awesome. And we'll get into some of the technology in a minute, but I do want to just, for folks who don't know Parker
Mhm.
and have never, been there, it's just, obviously, and I've had the privilege of being there a few times. I've seen it's just a glorious two-campus school,
Yeah,
so much going on. Talk a little bit about, what's, I almost metaphorically walk somebody through the grounds, not necessarily building by building, but just what's it
sure.
like to be on the campus? And I suppose in a bit of a connection to self, why has that mission and community and culture resonated so much with you that it's been nearly 2 decades of such a great partnership?
Yeah, sure. So Parker does have two campuses. We have our historic campus is in the Mission Hills neighborhood of San Diego, and absolutely stunning building. I like to say to folks, when you go to the lower school, you will feel the magic. It's a very magical place. At to have the littles running around in this beautiful space and knowing all the amazing programs and things that they do down there, it's really something else. It had, I would say, in the early 2000s, that campus got a lot of attention and addition and more construction, and it is a quite a thing to see. There was the opportunity to really build onto that campus. So there's a mixture of kind of the 1912 building and some new buildings that were built in the same spirit and the same architectural influences. Walking in the front door of the lower school campus, you'll be greeted by a craftsman environment with a beautiful fireplace on the right hand side. And there might be a student or two sitting in a squishy, comfy chair waiting for either, with that age group, there's a lot of like, my tummy's hurt. I need to go see the receptionist. And the receptionist skillfully says, let's start with a glass of water and see how that goes. So, lower school, completely magical. There is a technology office on the lower school. There is a technology coordinator for the lower school, and they are appropriately incorporating technology for that age group as well. Our other campus is in the Linda Vista area. It's about 2 miles away. If you stand on the southernmost corner of the Linda Vista campus, you can actually see the Mission Hills campus. We often joke about having a zip line between the two campuses, but it's a pretty quick drive, and we try to spend a good amount of time going between the two campuses to create a JK-12 connection. So you'll often hear our head of school say two campuses, three divisions, one Parker. And that's really our goal. Our goal is to be one community. Even though we're 2 miles apart, there are other schools that have multiple campuses, and they'll tell you that you need to pay attention to that, and we do. The the Linda Vista campus is right across from the University of San Diego and right next door to the San Diego County Office of Education. And we have just finished our version of a multi-year remaking of the campus. So the oldest building on campus dates to 1986, so that's not all that old. And everything else was built. You'll walk around and notice that all the buildings are at least from the mid 2000s or newer. I'd say the most recent addition was our new Vasiliadis Athletic Center and the Douglas Aquatic Center, all housed in the Silberman Student Life Center. And wow, it is unbelievable. There's 2 stories of underground parking underneath it. And there's this really cool wraparound walkway. So if you're a water polo fan, you can stand on that walkway on a nice warm San Diego evening and watch the kids just go at it. And it's fantastic. And sometimes there's a water polo game going on in the pool, and then you can walk down to the other end of the walkway and you can watch a soccer game on the field, and then you can walk into the VAC, the Vasiliadis Athletic Center, and watch a basketball game. So it's a really, really neat part of campus. It's really beautiful, and we're proud of it fully opening this year. And as you walk around the campus, I think one of the things you'll find central is the centermost building is the library. And it's a beautiful, again, done in a craftsman style, where you would see both the middle and the upper school share that space. And then on the right-hand side of the library is mostly upper school. And on the left-hand side of the library is mostly middle school. There's some crossover there because we do have some crossover teachers, especially in world languages. But again, a wonderful, very open, beautiful area that takes advantage of everything that San Diego has to offer. Um, I like to, when I get in the morning, I'm a bit of an early bird myself, and I have some quiet time. And then as the kids slowly trickle in, there's a sport court right in the center of the middle school campus. And they're out there playing basketball and volleyball and kicking the soccer ball and just having a great time. So it's a very warm, enjoyable campus, beautiful place to come and, spend my professional life.
Well, and we're hoping to help you find a technology person to spend their
Yeah.
professional life there. You talked earlier about some of the importance of technology, and I guess let's continue from there and talk
Mhm.
about where Parker is and some priorities coming up, and how this director level position that oversees a pretty big department,
Yeah.
transcending both campuses, all areas of technology, what's going to be on some of their early priority plates.
Sure. Well, I'll step back in time just a little bit. As we spoke at the beginning, this is my 19th year at Parker. So there was a time when we were not a one-to-one environment, for example. And I think what you can see from our decision to go to a one-to-one environment lets you know a little bit about the philosophical underpinnings of what it means to have technology at Parker. We wrestled with, as I'm sure many schools do, what do we do with all this tech? And we're having that conversation again now with like, what do we do with AI? Um, and what we really settled on was we're not going to try and hold the door shut. That is not a forward-thinking, equipping our students for the reality and the life that they're going to live approach. So instead, our philosophical underpinnings have been how do we come alongside students, introduce very valuable and very powerful tools, and help them know that this is a learning device and something that will be integral to your future. So from there, that program has grown to where we do have iPads all throughout our lower school classrooms. They're not they don't really go home. They stay with the kids. They're at school, which is appropriate for their age group. And then when they move to middle school, they get an iPad that we say, okay, this is a one-to-one environment. Take this, use it properly. And then in the high school, it's a bring your own device model. So on the educational technology side of that thing, just for folks who are thinking about this role, what they really have to do is how do I make all of that work in one ecosystem? For our parents, especially if we're thinking about JK through 8, how do we set appropriate boundaries and limits? Or again, our philosophical underpinnings aren't really to kind of keep the door closed, yet we want to keep kids safe. So there's a lot of that kind of work to be done. There's a lot of thought that goes into which applications we invite into our system and which applications we don't. We've had a lot of thought goes into the tools that faculty will want to use. We've got a very talented faculty. They're out looking at all the great tools that are developing, and they'll come to our ed tech folks and go, "Oh, can you put this on my computer?" And I think a lot of schools have probably experienced the like, sure, why not? And then all of a sudden you have, this constantly mushrooming group of applications that you have to support. So we've gone to a process of if you really like something, bring it to your ed tech coordinator, and they will take it through a process that will validate whether or not we're going to adopt it or whether or not we have a tool that meets the needs that you already that you're trying to express. Or maybe it's just no. And that's part of this role is overseeing like which tools are we going to bring into the learning environment. Of course, we're also a school that has a Blackbaud learning management system and student information system, and that is key. Um, a big part of the work in this role for the last 5 years has been aligning all of our software products that have to work with our student information system. So I think it's also true for many schools. There's like, wow, that piece of software over there does what I want it to do, and I really like it, but it doesn't actually talk to our student information system. That started over time. That starts to really create an environment where you can't be as certain about your data as you want to be. So if we kind of look at the behind the scenes work, there's a lot of making sure that the data coming into the system from families, say through our whichever admissions process we use, or whether we're bringing in medical records, all of that stuff has to come in with a certain level of fidelity for it to be useful and for us to be able to serve our families and students well. So that's a big part of the job. Another big part of the job is supporting all the information systems that actually aren't student facing. So our business office uses a variety of things to keep our school running smoothly. And there's a lot of conversation between the business office and the school side of the office when it comes to student information and how it intersects the business requirements of the school. So this person for this role will also have to have some savvy and be able to talk with our business office and support them pretty well. Now, the good news is that this isn't a one-person team. I'd say over the last 5 years, we've been able to build out this team in a way where there are folks with good oversight by this role who will be able to take care of all of those challenges. So uh, this role is exciting to me for a lot of reasons, that a lot of the heavy lifting has been completed. That doesn't mean there's not more to do. However, I think a lot of it is going to be moving the school forward in the way that we've planned, that we've envisioned, and following through on a lot of the work that has been completed or is already started. This role also then has oversight over some audiovisual and anything external facing to the community. An important role, but we've also tried to do some internal education so that our faculty and staff understand that IT doesn't necessarily mean AV. So we have an AV specialist in our team who's very, very good, really takes care of us, has good vendor relationships for when we have a lot of things that go on at once. So I hope that helped as kind of a thumbnail of what's going on.
That's outstanding. I guess final question or just topic, just briefly, as you talk about what's going on Parker wide, and three divisions, two campuses, one Parker. What's on the horizon for this school? What do you see just coming up in the next couple of years? And tech or otherwise, doesn't have to be technology, just to get a sense of where the energy is pointed and what people are thinking about,
Mhm.
uh, any sort of forward thinking moments that might be uh, wonderful projects for this next tech director, at least to be providing their own 2 cents on, if not actually stepping into
Sure,
leadership.
absolutely. I think schools have a, a a bucket of work that I like to call our forever work. So technology certainly has its own bucket. So are the tools that we're currently using the right tools? Are there improved tools? So we're getting ready to launch an interactive flat panel pilot. So we had kind of a second stage of a pilot. We had a handful of folks using an interactive flat panel this year instead of our typical setup, which was projector, an Apple TV, a wireless connection, kind of speakers that were disconnected from the actual overarching system, and you plug into your computer. It works, right? It's a solution that works. But is it the best solution? Is there standardization from classroom to classroom? As we grew as a school, we do now have faculty that will move classrooms, and we want their technology environment to be stable. When they walk from one classroom to the next, we want that classroom experience to be like, I know how to do my work in here. So that's an exciting thing that's coming up. Again, kind of stage two, so we'll increase the scale of that, and I anticipate if that goes well, we will deploy interactive flat panels throughout the entire school. Artificial intelligence is clearly the biggest conversation point of our time right now and we're wrestling with. We just put out an artificial intelligence policy statement and some guidelines for both students and for faculty, and now comes the implementation piece. That's I like to say the visioning and the planning and the writing of the policy that takes a while, but I might even hedge my bet and say it might be a little bit easier than the implementation. So the wheels tend to fall off on things, I think, when you get to implementation. And now we have to implement. And that means everything from, can AI be a tool that is going to support teachers in the continuing professionalization of their practice? Is it going to produce better tools for students? What are the boundaries around that? We know artificial intelligence is in the schoolhouse already. So we have to disabuse ourselves of any thought that's not going to be a part of students' reality. So how do we, again, like we've done historically, come alongside students, say, yeah, this is a very important and powerful tool that will definitely affect your working life. Um, how do we use it now as a supportive learning tool, and how do we teach you to have a good relationship with this? It's not a replacement for your thinking. But those are two kind of big things that are really exciting. I think most recently, the construction that we just finished was a big thing. Technology team is always involved in uh, big construction projects. So there'll probably be some follow-on work, making sure, like, hey, are all the systems working correctly in the new buildings? Um, all of that kind of stuff is continuing on.
Well, it has been wonderful to continue on working with you all over the last few years. You do clearly live and breathe and bleed Parker, and you speak so well about the school, its culture, what's going on, and we're excited to work with you on this really important search, an important time here to join an outstanding community with some just great, stable leadership and outstanding seasoned administrators who are just, I think, going to be a great partner, or all great partners to your next technology director. So, Dan,
Yeah.
thanks for taking a few minutes here today. Appreciate your time. And we look forward to working with you on the rest of the search.
Thank you, Gabe. Have a good day.
You bet.